Yeah, that's right. I'm still going. Uh, Again, album Wednesday. This Wednesday. All right, check it out. And this next album is a little bit of a change of pace. I started writing this album right before COVID. I'll tell you just straight up, okay? This was one of those projects that was actually supposed to be one album. I'll just say it now. The next 6 albums were supposed to be one album, okay? It was supposed to be one album with 40 something songs on it. I was pulling a Childish Gambino with the chapters and the layers and the whatevers. I instead just separated it into its 6. Now I had to do a lot of curating because, again, when it's one body of work, you just listen through it, and the placement doesn't necessarily matter too much because, like, it does, but like, eventually you'll get the themes, you'll get everything that comes across, and this and that. With this, yeah, I had to rearrange some stuff. Like, for all of these songs, I think I've already mentioned, there was a lot of remaking songs and a lot of rewriting songs. And I bring that up. Did I do that on Ooh, almost said it. Almost said it. Did I do this on this album? I don't quite remember. But I know that in the next few albums, for sure, I did that. I did that with the previous This Is What You Wanted, which was supposed to be named at first. There was no one around, right? The irony of, like, being around all these women and da da da, but super alone and whatever, right? Cool. This album maybe is a little grunge spirited. My inner punk comes out, not genre wise, but like the establishment. I think it's just a, like, I'm getting at something here, right? So I've, not that I think this is the case, I've just layered humans into 6 layers, right? 6 layers. First layer is what you get, like, first layer of depth, It's like, politics, society. What are your thoughts on these things? People are like, oh, that's so deep. I fell into this where I thought this was like that. This was it. This, like, as a true Greco, what would you call him? Like an Athenian, like a true Athenian. I thought, philosophy and politics. Yes, these are the deepest matters of the world. Which I've learned that really it's not the case at all. And I was actually interrupted by that thought with a friend of mine who's like, sure, like, yeah, you can call that deep. Sure, I want to talk about our feelings. Like, can we talk about our feelings? And I'm like, yeah, I guess, but that's not deep. And she's like, yeah, that, whatever you want to call it, but that's what I want to do. Not realizing, you know what, she probably had a deeper understanding of depth than I did at the time. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, again, with this idea of zooming out, doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on, whatever, we're all struggling with the same BS, the same dangers of life. What is that? There ain't enough money in my pocket. Let me tell you that. Whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, you've got no money. You know what I mean? If you're a millennial, you're like, I went to college for what? I don't have a job. And if you're Gen Z, you're thinking everyone's incompetent and just give me 6 months and I'll change the world. Which Gen X is like, all right, buddy. But also, I think the bureaucracy is absolutely cut through by Gen Z, which has its own problems and whatever. My point, I guess, really, is just like, in a general sense, we're all struggling with the same things. Now, you might think, oh, Reaganomics and trickle down economies and da da da. And the other person's like, eat the rich. And we might disagree on that. But at the point of it all, at the center, at the meat of the argument, we're both broke. How do we fix it, right? I just write silly songs. Not silly. They're not silly songs, but I just write songs. I'm a simple guy. I don't have the answers. I just know we're all yelling, hey, we don't have money. I think this is a perfect example, okay, of what I'm talking about. I write everything. I produce. I mix. I write lyrics, write chord progressions, I compose. I do all of these things. I don't think I'm that bad at it. I think I'm pretty decent at it, better than most. But that doesn't matter. America is not a meritocracy, right? So there is this sense that you gotta know people, and you've gotta be in the right social class, and you gotta, go to the right schools and meet the right people and be a part of the right crowds, and that does exist, right? Now, I can moan about it, and I can complain and do all of that, or I can just carve my own lane and do my own thing. I'm ignorant. Guys, I do everything alone, not out of pride or arrogance. It is simply the fact that I don't know how to collaborate. One, I don't know where to find collaborators. I don't know where to find like-minded people, right? I saw Chris Williamson. I think that's his name. Hopefully that's his name. He talked about this idea that when you go after something, there is this curve, or not a curve, there's a gap between all your friends and like the life that you live that don't do it. And so you don't relate with them, and you're not quite good enough, or you're not quite up there enough, not quite famous enough, not quite whatever enough to be with like-minded people. There's a gap there. When he explained that, I was like, oh shoot, this is a common thing for even people who weightlift, right? You start lifting weights, your friends who want to just go to the bars and just get high and play video games or whatever, you're leaving them behind, but you're also not at a place with like knowledge of what you're doing and this and that to be with people who work out. And so you're kind of stuck just learning on your own and figuring it out on your own until you get to a certain point. And then people are like, oh, dude, nice physique, man. Oh, man, you're trying to get your PR up on bench. Me too, man. Let's work out together and blah, blah, blah. And then that starts happening because you have a semblance of, hey, I want this gym thing to be a part of my life. And it's like, oh, me too. But there's this in between. There's this gap time where you don't fit in anywhere. And that's maybe on purpose. That's meant to refine us in a certain sense, refine our mentalities, get our mind straight on, hey, this ain't about external things. This is about you. Do you want it? Am I ranting about? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, this is kind of on par. Another thing I talk about, I wrote this with algorithms in mind. I don't think AI is any different, because it's trying to do the same thing. What is it trying to do? It's trying to keep your attention to make money, essentially. AI, for some reason, is a 2-bit horse. No, I'm just kidding. But it'll literally say whatever it needs to say to keep you using this thing. It has so much abandonment issues, bro. It is a people pleaser. Your TikTok algorithm is the same thing. And like, I'm not here for it, dude. I want to hear, like, for example, these are the two things that are addicting. It's not quite like, there's one aspect which is not as addicting of the things that you like, right? You like seeing dog videos, you like seeing couple videos, doing challenges together, whatever the case is. Like, that's one aspect. Another aspect is the rage baiting. Now, the problem with rage baiting is that it's never fair to the other side, and it's not ever a moderate take, a nuanced take. it's always something that's easily defendable, right? So like if I ever hear like a Muslim argument, an atheist argument, it's always a poor portrayal or a bad argument, and then the Christian steps in and destroys them, or there is no Christian to destroy them, but it's so like it's a layup for me that I'm like, this is obnoxiously stupid. Like there's no way they actually believe this. And that gives you an idea of what the other person thinks. And it's like, no, that's not fair. Right. So I only have conversations with people. I don't like the algorithm. I don't like what it does to our brains. If you've watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix, it's still there. You should watch it. It paints this story. It's really cool because it's a documentary, but at the same time there's like a story going on with a family. And so they're explaining all the statistics, and then you're seeing the statistics play out in real life. And somewhere near the end of the documentary, I don't think it's the end, somewhere in the middle, but this guy gets caught up with like an alt group. You know, alt right, alt left, it doesn't matter. But it's a fringe group. He's getting fed these things, and slowly he's getting, these arguments are being introduced to him and all these things. And he already has a kind of sentiment that leans him in that direction. And so it's just feeding that and feeding that and feeding that to the point where he's like at rallies, like throwing, cooked Molotovs at freaking cops, throwing the little fireball stuff, whatever. And, and it's like, what the heck is going on? You're such a sweet kid. How did you end up like this? And that happens because we're not careful. We don't guard our minds. We're not paying attention. This goes back to the appetite thing. Like we are not taking care of, yeah, this is fun, but is this feeding me? Is this any good for me? Like in the Bible, there's this concept of like all things are permissible, but not all things build you up, right? Like in Christ, we have the freedom to do all things, to see all things, to hear all things, but is it going to build you up? It's this maturity of self-love. It's this understanding of like, bro, cool, this show is fun and all, but it makes me really angry. I had to stop watching Peaky Blinders until I could, like, I ended up finishing it years later. But when I was watching it, there was just, I guess, so much pent up anger, and I was so impressionable by like these badasses, and I was like, dude, I'm gonna go beat some guy up. Like the next guy who bumps into me is going to get some razors in their eyes. You know what I mean? Like, what? Whoa, relax. What is going on? And that's how I was feeling at the time. And I was like, no, this is not good for me. This is absolutely not. I don't care how cool the characters are. I don't care about the story. I don't care about anything. I'm going to be a degenerate if I keep watching this. And I know people have that effect with music. Like music really gets into them, which is why I'm like, it's those kinds of people that I'm trying to like touch on, because these people, not saying that arguments don't work, but music is something special. It really does something different. It goes beyond the rationale, the argumentative mind, the defensive mind, and it speaks to something deeper within us. And so for me to be able to introduce these ideas, these new ideas, trying to like, get you thinking about these ideas that you would never think of, in an environment that might be safer than talking to family, talking to friends, talking to your wife, whatever the case is. Like, it's just you and the headphones, it's just you and me, baby. It's just you and me. And we're riding this till the end. You know what I'm saying? So society, bro, I was actually, that's one thing. Not that, the album talks about this, but just an idea of, like I think of the Electoral College and the republic democracy that we live in. We're not a democracy. We're a republic democracy. What does that mean? It means that we have a democracy for the people who represent us, and the representatives then, in our best interest, ideally, in our best interest, they vote according, right? The internet is a democracy, right? X is a democracy. There is no gatekeepers. There's no one saying, hey, this isn't good for you. Like, you shouldn't be watching this. You shouldn't be like going down this rabbit hole. Let me block this off for you. Now, I understand that sounds like fascism. That sounds like communism. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that sounds like not good. But can we do that for ourselves? Is the issue. Like, I know I can't. I'll go down rabbit holes. So I've opted out of all of it. You know, I don't have social medias. Like, if you see videos, it's because of a distribution app that I use, right? Even YouTube, I try to watch long form content only. I tried to not get on shorts because I get sucked in. My ADHD is crazy. I'll stay 3-4 hours. Well, I mean, I say my ADHD is crazy and then proceed to explain something that literally everyone goes through. I get that. Can you change your algorithm? Well, that's the thing. Can you change your algorithm to what is good for you? I don't think so, because it's made for you to get dopamine hits. It's gambling. It's hitting the jackpot, you know, every third video, every fourth video. It's like a random thing between like one, like every third and seventh video is going to be a good video. So you keep scrolling and you keep scrolling and you keep scrolling. This is the same problem with, not skins gambling, but the same problem with like buying any kind of packs on any games, if you're familiar with what I'm talking about. So basically it's this thing of like, okay, you spend like 100, virtual coins for this pack. You have a 1% chance of getting something super rare, super amazing. And then you have an 80% chance of getting absolute garbage, and you have a 19% chance of getting something decent, and you'll just keep going and going and going and going, and people lose money doing this. Okay. What my point is in all that is low key. I'm very, very much an advocate of always looking to yourself. I think the words of Gandhi just really hit me. And he says, be the change you want to see in the world. So it's this crazy thing of taking on the responsibility of becoming the kind of thing you want to see in the world. I think that goes to how you navigate everything, right? And so you want your algorithms to be better? You have to put in the work. Do you want companies to not be so, addict driven and like greed driven and da-da-da? At some point we have to boycott and show them, hey, we mean business. We're not just complaining. Like, I actually want change. I need you to be responsible with what you're doing because I can't control myself. You know what I mean? Society, right? And so, yeah, I mean, look, that's the thing, right? So this is just the first layer. This is what we deal with on a daily basis. You pick up your phone, you got to deal with it. You hang out with friends, you got to deal with it. Like, oh, did I see the meme that everyone's talking about or whatever? Like, this is society, although it's a complex and, somewhat deep and all of that. In what I'm referring to, this is the first layer, and it just gets deeper and deeper from here. So yeah, have fun. It's just the Sonics are a little bit different, a little bit different. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy. It is a little bit of a different sound. I don't think like Gen X up is going to enjoy it. I'll just be frank. It's a little more modern, just a little more, All right, guys, I'll leave you with that. Have fun. Wednesday. Remember this Wednesday. Okay.